These four buttons here actually all have the same kind of object, which is called a squiggle. They start off with a different shape, but you can actually edit them very easily and very quickly to make them look like whatever you want them to look. So I'm going to add one of each of these things, starting off with a straight. So selecting Add Single Straight Line, clicking the mouse down, moving, releasing. We now have a straight line. If I click this, mouse down, release, click, click, it allows us to add a series of straight segments between dots. Pressing Enter to stop adding that. And now we'll do a curvy version. Click, holding down, click, click, press Enter. And finally, a freestyle. Draw H for high. Now we can take this one and continue adding to it. So let's say we wanted it slightly longer and we wanted to add some curve to the end. We could just do that. So you see they very quickly can be edited to look like each other. It's all the same object. I'll press Ctrl Z. We can change the properties of any of these squiggles by selecting them and then going to Appearance. So I'm just going to change the thickness of this to something thinner, to 5. And I'm going to change the outline to a blue. Moving off this window, it should close automatically. Now we have a blue one. I can actually split this in half. With this segment selected, I can press H on my keyboard, and that has now been halved. So as you can see, it's starting to look more like this one over here. And I press Ctrl Z to undo the splitting in half, just because I want to show you that you can also go to Segment and click Seg Half. That will halve it as well. Although it's easiest just to press H on the keyboard once it's selected. But if you forget that, then this can remind you. This can remind you because it says Seg Half and then it brackets H, which is a keyboard shortcut. What we can also do, I'm going to pick on this one again, is we can carry on adding lines and have multiple segments going to one dot. So, and I'll do one more. So we have these 4 segments going to this one dot. And if you move the dot, or the point, then they all follow suit. On this one, let's say we didn't want this point here anymore. We can skip it, either by clicking Point Skip here in our points, or, as you can see from this brackets S shortcut, is S. So I'm going to press S on my keyboard, and that point has disappeared. Just so you can see that again, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Y, and if later on we wanted it back, we could press H and halve it, and we can have it back to multiple. Now this line is curved, and this line is straight. However, we can make this line have curvy elements to it. Let's say we wanted this segment to get its initial direction from this segment. What we do is we click down on this segment, that thin pink line appears, and we move it onto this segment. Now this segment is curving according to whatever angle we have here. So if I change that, you can see the angle changes. And we can also ask this one to get its angle from here, so they kind of become a team and they curve mutually around this point. I'm going to delete these and we're going to focus just on the top right hand one. Actually, I'm going to keep this, but I'm going to make it smaller, get it out of our way for now. One of the things you might notice in the appearance is this finish and square out. Now I'm going to change the thickness of this, the default thickness, to something much thicker. I'm going to go to 30. Now you see at each corner it's rounded, and the default finish for each corner is rounded. But I could change it to square. So now you can see where these lines are straight. In fact, I'm just going to add another line. Join that up to there. You can see it now has a square finish. You can see as we get to 90 degrees, it's pointy, and then it blunts off. If you don't want it to blunt off at 90 degrees, you can change where it squares at to maybe 45 degrees. Press enter. So now you see it doesn't blunt off quite so quickly. And we can even change that to, let's say, 20, choose a very low value. It gets very, very pointy. It doesn't blunt off till right at the last second. This appearance stuff is our, okay, that's annoying. Can get rid of that. This appearance is our default settings. We could take a point or a segment and change parts of it. So for example, if we wanted this point to be rounded, but the others to be square, we go to points, and we can change the finish to rounded. So we've got square, we've got rounded. And I press Ctrl Z to undo. We can also change this segment. Go into the segment part. We can change its outline to, let's say, green. Let's say this color, whatever that is, greenish. So you can see just this segment has overridden the default color. If we wish to duplicate this, we hold our mouse down on the move button and we press Control, and there we get a duplicate. It's one too many. And then we can carry on editing this as we wish. And you can even make the points match up. So that's going to get that to take its angle from here. So if we move this one point, everything attached to it also moves. I'm going to demonstrate the purpose of this grid setting here. So I'm actually going to delete these guys, and I'm going to select green free pen. No, that is not what I meant to do. Select that. If I was, say I wanted to build a square, although actually we have square settings down here. But anyway, say I want to build it from a squiggle, from scratch. Click down, down. It's kind of hard to get it exactly looking square. What we can do is set the grid to some other value, and here we have a shortcut for setting it to 10, which means it's much easier to get things perfectly lined up. Okay, we now have a perfect square. I'm going to duplicate that and set this off to make it a diamond. If you wanted to micro adjust one of these points, or in fact, actually, you can select multiple points by holding Control down. See, we now have 2 points selected. I can move them both at the same time. I'm just going to take the grid back to 1 so we get a smoother. So I can move multiple points at the same time. If I wanted to micro adjust a point when it's selected, if we hold Control down and press the arrow keys on the keyboard, we can move it up and down 1 pixel at a time. We can also go into points, and we could change its coordinates. So this point is currently selected. Its x coordinate is free. This label's a bit off. I will change that in 2 seconds. This x coordinate is free. We could change it to 30, and it will move over to the right a bit. And equally, the Y is 40, only change it to 0, and it should move by 40 pixels. So we can micro adjust there our X and Y coordinate. We can also delete the point. So that point's deleted, and any segments that were touching it get automatically deleted as well. And I press Ctrl Z to bring it back to life. And we can also skip this point, which means it will join up straight from here to here. So I'm going to press skip point or shortcut S, and now obviously we have a triangle. This label is now fixed so you can see the X coordinate and the Y coordinate more clearly. As we move this around, you can see the coordinates updating there. To fill this shape with a colour, we come down here and click Add Splash. Choose the colour we wanted inside, and I go for reddish, pink actually apparently. And now I'm going to add a splash in the middle. And if we wanted to take that and actually fill this one, we can just move it across. And if we change the shape of this, you can see the fill will eventually get the message and fit to that shape.